I'm back! Zero Volume 23. Let's jump right in. Walking out of a convenience store and entering a mysterious world. So this chapter basically explains the situation. As we know, Subaru wakes up and he has no recollection of any of the things he's done in the past, which is absolutely insane considering we are 23 volumes deep into the story and the author has now decided to completely wipe out all the progression Subaru has made throughout the entire story. It was a bold choice, and I gotta say it was definitely an interesting one and definitely kept me as a reader on my toes, because who expects the main character to lose their memory completely this deep into the story? So at the beginning of the volume, we have Subaru waking up with no memory and he's confused on how everyone around him seems to know who he is. So Subaru reintroduces himself to all the characters and actually reveals that he has amnesia, which is terrible news considering the situation. They have to solve this tower. Subaru was the only one who seemed to have any information on how to figure out these puzzles. He's the only reason they were able to beat that first trial, and now their one weapon to help them beat these trials and get what they need out of this tower is completely useless. So the characters were pretty distraught to hear this fucking terrible news. I mean, poor Julius, the only person who knew him was Subaru, and now Subaru doesn't even know who he is or who Julius is. So Julius he was heartbroken to hear this news, which is just so sad when you think about everything Julius has gone through this arc. The one person who knew him, the one person he could turn to, is now not even available anymore. So Julius did not take that well. Amelia and Beatrice obviously didn't take it well, but I think they took it the best out of everyone. And then Shala, I found Shala's reaction to be really interesting because she said, "How many times have you forgotten me now?" Which implies that this has happened quite a few times in the past, which is strange because to our knowledge, Subaru's only been to the tower now for the first time, but we keep getting hints that he's been there before. So this memory loss thing is definitely not happening for the first time. It's interesting that there's something going on here, and Shala doesn't seem to be really surprised. So this means, like I said, it's happened before. Shala knows something that we don't. But then lastly, Ram's reaction was probably the biggest. She had to pull the man to the side and she talks to Subaru and she says, "Hey, what's going on? Tell me." And she was pretty much crying, and Subaru's like, "I don't know what's going on." But Ram just couldn't accept it because you gotta take in through Ram's perspective. Subaru's the only one who knows Ram. Subaru's the one who basically told her that this is her sister. Subaru's the key to her getting her sister back, and now if that key is no longer working, it just makes things way more difficult for her, and it's just hard to accept because she wants her sister back so desperately, and Subaru losing his memory just makes it so much more difficult to reach that point, to get to where they need to be. Subaru starts feeling a lot of pressure because everyone's telling him all the amazing things he's done and he has no memory of any of these things. So he's like, you know what, let me try to figure out what's going on. Let me just walk in the hall and think to myself. So he goes in the hall, he thinks, he reaches a staircase, and then he gets pushed off. I mean, damn. First death of the chapter. Gets pushed off the staircase. He doesn't know how he fell, but he falls to his death, and that concludes chapter 1. Chapter 2. Who are you? So the volume starts out with Subaru waking up where the volume began, because he just died, and he's basically confronted with Amelia and Beatrice once again. Now he's a little bit confused on what's going on because he doesn't actually realize that he was killed. Subaru explains the situation, and then he concludes that he has the ability to dream the future. So now he starts thinking about ways he can take advantage of this ability and if he should tell them, because he's wondering why the version of himself in the past did not tell them, because no one seemed to know that Subaru had these kind of powers. So then he starts having distrust for the version of him that he doesn't know, Natsuki Subaru, which is what he refers to that version of himself as. So whenever Subaru says Natsuki Subaru within this volume, he's always referring to the Natsuki Subaru that did not have memory loss. And it's really this psychological battle between trusting the version of himself that he doesn't fully know or understand. So Subaru goes in the halls and tries to ponder his thoughts to figure out if he should trust the decision the other version of him made to not share that information with them, or if he should just go and tell them this information and see if they can take advantage of this ability to see the future that he believes he has. As he's doing this, he happens to walk by a room in which Echidna or Foxydona is basically explaining that they can't trust Subaru and how this memory loss thing came out of nowhere and how it's a little bit suspicious that all of a sudden he doesn't have his memory back, which makes sense. Subaru doesn't like the news he's hearing, and he ends up running off in a panic, and he's really frustrated that no one trusts him when he's thinking about them, and he's just really just not in a good mental space. He runs to the staircase, he gets pushed off again, and then he realizes, oh, I was killed. Now, this time when he wakes up, he's like, okay, why am I back at the same spot again? Everyone's asking him, oh, Subaru, you okay? Whatnot. He doesn't care. He runs straight to where Reed is. Now, he didn't go here on purpose. I made it sound like he came here on purpose. He was just running, and he happened to get to this room, and he basically confronts this guy and gets his ass beat. So Subaru gets his ass beat by Reed, and then he's kicked out of the area, and he's just down, panicked. He doesn't know what's going on. He's wondering how this is happening, and is he gonna die in a world that he doesn't even know, with people he doesn't know, with a situation he doesn't understand. He's just questioning all these things, and he's just like, why am I going through this? And he starts hating death. He starts personifying death and says, death, I'm not gonna lose to death. I refuse to die in a world where I don't know. Subaru tells death he isn't gonna lose, and as he says this, he says, I've already died once, which as we know breaks the taboo. So Satella grabs his heart and crushes it. And he doesn't know why his heart's being crushed either, so he's just down. That's how chapter 2 closes. Damn. Chapter 3. Hollow Shell. So this chapter starts out with Subaru realizing, of course, that he can return by death. He finally realizes the fact that he has died, as he said last chapter. He's died once before. And the group finds Subaru on the stairs. Obviously, he's in a terrible state. They take him to the green room to wait for new developments, and Subaru basically realizes that he doesn't want to stay in the tower anymore and that he can't trust these people. So he decides that he's going to abandon everyone because he doesn't know who's an enemy or who's a friend, who's a foe. And at this point, he just doesn't have the patience to try and figure that out. So he's just trying to escape and go back home, find a way out of there. But that journey did not last long because once he goes outside the tower, he's confronted by those huge centipedes and almost dies and just ends up running back inside the tower because he realizes, wait, out there ain't for me. So he just runs back to the tower and he's like, you know what? Plan B. I'm going to just kill everyone in the tower. I'll keep the tower as my own stronghold. And then once everyone's out of the way, then I won't have to worry about somebody betraying me or killing me. So this is his newfound motivation. He's been through a lot of shit outside the tower. He's coming back in. He's bruised, but he's ready for murder because he's going to kill them before they kill him. But to his surprise again, when he returns to the tower, he sees that everybody is dead. He's done at this point. He's just pleading for the world to set him free. He's like, I can't do this anymore. What is happening? And it's described in the volume, something about darkness in his heart was being fueled and whatnot. And basically somehow because of that desire to just be released from this world, Satella manifested and started consuming the tower in shadows the same way she did back at the sanctuary. And basically it becomes a whole nother freaking apocalypse situation with Satella where the whole place is going down and everyone dying and getting sucked up by shadows. But as these shadows attempt to consume Subaru, there's actually somebody who saves him even when he doesn't necessarily want to be saved, and that is Patrash. Eventually the shadows get Patrash dies, but Subaru's like, damn, that dragon risked its life for me. And yeah, but Subaru still ends up dying at the end of the day, but now he has this newfound relief that there's something in this world he can trust. And it's interesting that the first person he can trust, or the first thing he can trust, actually is his partner, Patrache. But Subaru doesn't just get killed by the shadows. It's actually interesting. He goes to the balcony where he talked to Julius in the last volume, and he's just looking out. But somebody comes behind him and sends him flying into the air and says, catch me next time, hero. Catch me next time, hero implies that there's somebody in the tower who's been continuously fucking with Subaru. Because I was wondering, I'm like, how is all of this even happening? Like, what is going on? How did he lose his memory? What is going on in this tower? Like, is it Shala? Is Shala the villain? Like, it's just so confusing. But either way, this person said, catch me next time, hero. And that's where volume chapter 3 closed out. Chapter 4, the Tower of the Living. So this chapter starts with Subaru waking up, but this time he decides that he's not going to trust anyone, and he's not going to reveal the fact that he lost his memories to see how things change and how he can get information by pretending that he's the Subaru they think he is. So he suspects that Julius may have been the cause of him losing his memory in the archive, because from hints he's received, he had talked to Julius last night, the night before he lost his memory. But as he talks to Julius in the archive, he sees that Julius isn't really raising any red flag, and it isn't really likely that he was the one who attacked Subaru in the archive. Another interesting note is that Shala had actually been secretly waiting and watching Subaru and Julius's conversation in case Julius had done anything, which I believe was on Subaru's request because Subaru didn't know how powerful Julius could be and he might attack him, so Subaru made sure he brought someone he could trust, which was Shala. But shortly after, Meili appears in the archive and she asks Subaru how seriously she should take what he said last night, which as readers we don't have any context to what that was, and I was confused when I read this. I'm like, okay, interesting. But we don't get the answers because, of course, this is ReZero. We're going to get those answers sometime in the future, I assume. But instead, Subaru blacks out and wakes up to Meili having been killed by seemingly him. He doesn't understand what's going on at this point, and he's just battling his own brain. Subaru leaves Meili's body and heads over to the archive because there's an emergency. And the emergency was, in fact, that Meili's Book of the Dead was now amongst the library, which implies that she was killed. Terrible news. Terrible news. At this point, Subaru's panicked. He can't reveal the fact that he was a freaking murderer. He seemingly just killed Meili. So he basically tries to convince them to make him read the Book of the Dead because if anyone else reads it, then they'll find out who killed Meili because it's going to show her whole life all the way until she died. And after a little bit of pushback, everyone agrees that Subaru's the best choice to read the book, so he gets what he wants. So I'm not really going to get into the interlude. It was just Meili's flashback. It wasn't super interesting. There wasn't anything that intriguing about it. So I'm going to jump straight into Chapter 5. Chapter 5. I like this title. Murder is a habit. So Subaru reads the Book of the Dead and his memories start merging with Meili's. They pull him out because they're like, okay, this is too much. Let's make sure Subaru's right. And then they decide that they're going to start looking for Meili around the tower because they ask Subaru, what did you find in the book? What did you find in the book? And he doesn't really give them any direct answer because he's just like not in his right mind. So they just go out and search for Meili. When they're going out to search for Meili, Beatrice stays back with him as well as Shala. And then Shala's asking him what she should do about Meili. Subaru starts thinking in his head, do I want them to find out that I killed her? I also want her to be found though because I feel guilty. And he's dealing with all these different things. And he basically decides that he's going to say something that can be taken very ambiguously. So Beatrice wouldn't be onto him, but at the same time Shala would get the message. He says, take care of Meili, which can be seen as, oh, take care of her. She has to be out there somewhere. Find her, make sure she's alright. But what Subaru meant when he said this was, take care of the body. But Shala says, okay, that's your command. I'm going to get it done. Subaru ends up going to the spot where Meili's body is to go check on it himself after some time passes, and he sees that nothing's there. So he's like, wait, what? She really got rid of it. There's no trace of the body. But he's caught in that room where Ram and Amelia barge in and see him there. And they're like, what's going on, Subaru? You've been acting weird. What are you doing here? Amelia just wants him to just open up because she's coming from a place of genuine compassion and care. She just wants Subaru to say what's on his mind, what's been bothering you. But Ram's more like, that's not Natsuki, Subaru. You've been acting strange. You're a threat. And Subaru's in a panic state, so I believe he ends up just attacking them. He goes on a rampage and he gets stuck in a cage. And also Meili's voice is playing in his head telling him that he should just kill them all and get their Book of the Dead. And all his problems will be solved. He doesn't have to worry about trusting anyone or any of those things. If he just kills them all, reads all their books, he gets all the information he needs and he moves about his life. So he's in this cage, he blacks out, he wakes up, no sign of Amelia, no sign of Ram. He looks on the walls all around the room and it says, Natsuki Subaru is here, Natsuki Subaru is here, Natsuki Subaru is here. And I'm like, oh shit, what's going on? What is going on? What is going on? It's so weird. The author is just completely has us in the darkness. It's just so confusing. So yeah, he's reading the walls and he's like, what is happening? What did I do this time? I was just in a cage. Now I'm outside the cage and the walls say Natsuki Subaru's here. Then Reed, the first Sword Saint, enters the room. And that is where the chapter ends. Chapter 6, ReZero. Life starts in another world. And Reed just starts running out the room. Subaru follows him and we see outside the room is a bunch of monsters and all types of shit swarming the halls and all types of things going around. And I'm confused as hell because I don't know what's happening, but there's all types of stuff going on in the tower, monsters everywhere. The tower's been taken over by something. And he sees Julius at a lower floor fighting these monsters. One monster is about to attack Julius from behind, but Subaru yells out to Julius to watch out, and then Julius evades that monster and is able to take him out. This builds a sort of trust between the two because they hadn't talked in a long time, and just that one gesture Subaru showed that saved Julius's life show Julius that he can trust Subaru again. He says, Subaru, go protect Anastasia. The tower is under attack. Just make sure she's alright, please. And Subaru accepts the request. And then Reed says something which is very interesting. There's no helping that nature, which implies the nature to help others, or Subaru's nature, which means Reed is also well acquainted with Subaru, which just doesn't make sense. But you know what? We'll learn along the way. But it's like, how does that make sense in the story? Reed knows Subaru, because how would you know what his nature is for you to even understand that? Like, I don't understand. And he seems to understand that Subaru lost his memories. It's just so weird. I don't know. But Reed says there's no helping that nature. And he smiles. So it's like, shit. Interesting. He knows Subaru? Cool. Subaru ends up meeting up with Beatrice and Anastasia. But then the scorpions trying to kill them. But even though Beatrice was able to protect them, the floor collapses and Echidna, or Foxydona, is about to fall to her death. But luckily, Subaru grabs her arm and makes sure she doesn't drop. Foxydona asks Subaru, why are you doing this? Just let go. And he says, I don't know why I did it. It was just impulse. But no, I'm not letting go. I also made a promise to Julius. And she's like, I'm sorry for doubting you. But Subaru in his mind's like, I don't blame you for doubting me. I'm doubting myself in this very moment. I don't even know why I saved you, to be honest. It was kind of just an impulse. Which goes back to what Reed was saying. His nature doesn't change. Something innate within Subaru as a person. Something he doesn't even see within himself that others can see. But it's still there. Just because he doesn't acknowledge it doesn't mean it's not there. And that's a beautiful thing about ReZero. Even when we don't acknowledge our strengths, it doesn't mean that others can't see those strengths. And it doesn't mean that those strengths aren't still there within us. But even though Subaru tried to save Foxydona and Beatrice end up getting swallowed up, I believe by darkness or some way they die, and Subaru's about to get killed, but Amelia comes through this time and saves him. So now Amelia saves him and she says she wants to talk to him, even though all this crazy stuff's going on. Amelia starts telling Subaru about all the things he's done for her, saving her in the loot house, helping her fight the witch's cult when she didn't know what was going on. Subaru came in there and saved her. All these amazing moments we've seen throughout the series where Subaru came in and saved the day. Amelia starts bringing them all up and just telling Subaru about what he's done for them. The Subaru who Foxydona trusted, the Subaru who Julius entrusted, the Subaru who Patrash tried to protect, the Subaru that everyone around them loved. She was telling him all about that Subaru. And Subaru was taking this as, you guys don't want me. You guys want that. You guys don't want the person who's here right now. I'm not that. That person isn't me. You're just reinforcing the fact that you're disappointed with the Subaru who's right here in front of you. I'm not capable of that. I'm selfish. I'm greedy. I don't do that. I only care about myself. I do this and that. I did nothing with my life. I'm a shut-in. And all those things we've heard him say to Ram back in season 1. All those feelings he's had inside of himself. He's letting it all out on Amelia and just saying you're wrong. That's just not me. And he says even if it was, it must have all been a lie. Everything I told you was a lie then, because Natsuki Subaru is just not capable of doing those things. And then there's a moment of pause where Amelia thinks to herself, she's like, damn, this is tough. She's sucking in a lot of emotions. This is a lot, because Subaru means a lot to her and he's saying all these things. And it's like, why does he feel that way about himself when I see him in such an amazing way? So then she reintroduces herself to Subaru. She says, hi, I'm Amelia. What can I call you who Beatrice trusts, Julius trusts, Foxydona trusts, who made us all feel this amazing way? What can I call the person who saved us so many times, who's not perfect but is always there when I need him most? What do I call you right before us? Because you are that person. If you're not Natsuki Subaru, what can I call you? And this is such a powerful moment because it was Amelia acknowledging Subaru for who he was right now in this moment and saying, there's only one Subaru, and it's the person right in front of me. Subaru had to take a moment on his own to just think, they all think this way of me, and they all love me and care for me, and I love these people. They helped me. In this loop, they helped me. They saved me. This loop helped him regain the trust he had in them, and they saved him. So he says, I want to make sure they're all alright. I want to make sure they have a bright future. And if being Natsuki Subaru means I can make sure they're all happy, these people who have helped me, who have saved my life, this person right here saved me, if I can make them all happy by being that person, he says to Emilia, then I am Natsuki Subaru. And it was like, damn. What a fucking powerful message, first of all. So fucking powerful. Because Emilia was not rejecting the Subaru standing before her. She was embracing and acknowledging that Subaru. She understood that there was only one Subaru in the world, and that if that Subaru is telling her she doesn't know what she's talking about, then she's saying, please tell me what I'm talking about. Who are you? And it's just amazing. It's amazing, like, seriously. And then as Emilia lets out her emotions, and she even says, I love you, this chapter, which is huge, I forgot to tell you, Subaru realizes why he did all the things he did, because he was feeling the emotion again. He did all of it for a cute girl. He's like, damn, Subaru, now I see why you did all this. It was for this girl right here. And I'm like, damn, there it goes, because that's his nature. That's who he is. Doesn't matter if he loses his memories. That's innately a part of him. And if he discovered it in the past, he can definitely rediscover it again. And that's just a beautiful thing. We can lose ourselves in this world. All of us in this life, we can always lose ourselves. But just as easy as we can lose ourselves, we can regain ourselves. We can regain our strength. ReZero teaches the fact that just because you don't see yourself in a shining light doesn't mean that's all the colors of you. Other people may see you in a different light. Their version of you is just as real as the version you have in your mind. And if people are telling you you've been courageous, you saved them, you made them feel this way, that's real. There's always a version of us. There's always someone out there, even one person, who can think of you and just say, that's a good guy. That's a good girl. I smile when I think about that person. And just knowing that is enough. We can't live alone. When we're down, we have people around us to bring us back up. Remind us who we are. It's just, ReZero is amazing in that way, truly. But yeah, the chapter ends off with Subaru and Emilia holding hands just like the beginning of the story, and darkness swallowing them up. Subaru vows that he's going to be Natsuki Subaru in order to protect the people who have helped him already. And with that vow, the chapter ends, and a new start begins. And that's going to be the end of this video. Amazing volume, amazing message. Subaru, Emilia's moment at the end, so amazing. Subaru's psychological battle, amazing. And that's going to be the end.